Okay, the postseason mess of college football is underway. I'm sporting my Notre Dame gear today because they're a little bit butthurt, and I figured they needed a little support. So here we go. I'm wearing my your gear. Hope you feel better, Notre Dame. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. All right. Rankings are out, and they demonstrate that the committee does exactly what it wants to do and figures out how to support it later. And I think we have clear evidence of that. I'll talk about a little bit about that in a minute. Number two, Notre Dame being the first team out, they are truly butthurt, as is every first team out. But they have taken it to a new level in terms of how they react to it. And third, the 12-team CFP and the coaching carousel, they've officially broken bowl season. They've broken it. All right, so let's talk about the rankings. First, it's clear that the Big 12 championship actually happened and that Texas Tech opened up a can on BYU. And it was so bad of a can that BYU fell below the threshold to make the playoff. But it appears that we all imagined or dreamed the SEC playoff happening. Did any of us watch that game? Or were we all having the same dream? I thought we watched Georgia beat the brakes off of Alabama. Alabama, at least in my dream, had -3 yards rushing. What they have in your dream? Because as far as we can tell, we must have all been dreaming because it had no impact whatsoever on the college football playoff rankings. None. Georgia entered at number 3 and exited at number 3. Alabama ended at number 9 and exited at number 9. And that's how they stayed in the final ranking. So were we there or were we just dreaming? That Alabama took a huge L and suffered zero consequence? Is that really what happened? So it seems to me that I guess the game was just for our personal enjoyment. And bad losses that Alabama took, namely against FSU, did not count against them at all. So what was the purpose of playing that game if it wasn't going to matter at all? And why does the Big 10, Big 12 championship matter with that butt kicking that BYU took, but the SEC championship didn't? There's a lot of opinion pieces out there about it. There's a little bit of shade going on. It's a lot of shade going on. So whether or not you think Alabama should be in the final 12, the fact that they had no downward movement whatsoever after taking that L is just curious to me. Unless you say, well, why should they get penalized for playing a championship game when the other teams who could not play a championship game were not penalized? Well, those teams were all ranked higher than Alabama going in. So I'm not trying to hear that. And Alabama got the brakes beat off of it. And there should have been some consequence for that. But alas, here we are. So, with respect to Notre Dame, I don't know if the committee was playing with them all along or not. I don't know what, the difference with Virginia not handling its own business in the ACC championship had to do with what the committee ended up doing. Maybe that had some impact, maybe not. But certainly, they just decided what they wanted to do and told us what they thought would be a reasonable explanation that we would buy. Or maybe they didn't care whether we bought it because it was what it was. In any event, that's it. Now, Notre Dame was clearly stung by being the first team out. Now, every team that's the first team out is stung. And they always argue how the system is unfair. And that went so far in the 14 playoff that now we have a 12-team playoff. And do we feel better? Notre Dame, you feel better? Any team feel better that's the first team out? Nobody that's the first team out feels better. And I don't care about JMU and whoever the other school was that got in. Okay, I don't care. Whoever's the team that's the one that should have gotten in their minds, but they didn't. They will always bellyache. So they did. And so, but Notre Dame went further. So not only did they end up being the first team out, that the athletic director then went on to call the CFP rankings a farce. and indicated that the CFP committee had provided false hope to essentially all of Notre Dame Nation. Okay. And, I'm paraphrasing the quote, but I find the quote humorous. Why put these young student athletes through all these false emotions and shatter their dreams? Really? Come on now, y'all. The playoff was stolen, in his opinion, even though they had lost head to head in Miami. And even though they started off the year 0-2, and they never went unranked after starting off 0-2, but they decided that if they couldn't play with the 12 big boys, they weren't playing at all. So they took their toys and they went home and they said, we don't want to play in any bowl games. If we can't play in one, we can't be in the top 12, we're not going to be there at all. Bye, y'all. We'll be okay. But it foretold something. And so number 3, Notre Dame shenanigans foreshadowed something that I didn't see coming, which was whole teams opting out. So for the first time ever that I know of, we have 3 Power 4 teams that have opted out of bowl season altogether. Iowa State, K-State, and Notre Dame. Now, Iowa State and K-State are saying they're opting out because coaching changes are the reason. Coaching changes didn't make Ole Miss opt out, but all the mess that they've been through in the last 2 weeks with Kiffin and all that foolishness, they didn't opt out because they get to play with the 12. But if you're not in the 12, it's not worth playing. So now both Iowa State and K-State are going to have fines of $500,000 from the Big 12 by opting out of bowl season altogether. So I'm not compelled by these coaching changes, as the rationale. Coaching changes have been around as long as there have been coaching changes, and that has not led to teams opting out. Now, last year, it led to Marshall not being able to field a team because all the guys hit the portal. But guess what? We don't have a portal that's open until January, so nobody can hit the portal right now. So you don't have that reason. That was one of the reasons that the coaches wanted to change it to a small portal window in January, so the players wouldn't opt out. But whole teams opting out? Like the institution just saying, yeah, we're not playing at all. All right. I ain't got nothing to say about that. I got plenty to say about it, but I'll hold my horses. Anyway, now with 3 teams out, you need some 5 and 7 teams to fill some of these bowl slots. But they were not bowl eligible until today. And so Auburn, Florida State, University of Central Florida, Baylor, and Rutgers have all declined bowl bids. They were 5 and 7 teams. They had no idea that they were going to suddenly become bowl eligible, and they have acted like they were done. So I don't think that we need to be upset with them or having any disparaging comments to say about those teams who's like, you know what? We were done at Thanksgiving, and now y'all want us to come back and reassemble the momentum and play another game. When we were at 5 and 7, there was no indication we were going to be bowl eligible. So they've declined, and I think that's fine. All right. So the 4-team CFP led to players opting out before bowl season because they thought it wasn't worth a bowl win. Potential injury was worth a potential bowl win, but that wasn't a national championship win. Okay. Now, the 12-team CFP has led to whole teams opting out of bowl season, presumably, as they would say, because of coaching changes, but I'm not buying that. In any event, we're at the point now that it looks like Power 4 has decided if they can't chase the only championship, there is no championship worth chasing. You can tell me what you think. It's not a great spot that we find ourselves in, but here we are. As always, let me know what you think.